Welcome back to Block Party, an Insecure podcast where we dive into the untold stories of Insecure.
And this episode is brought to you today by Gatorade Lower Sugar.
And this week we're going to be diving into season 1, episode 3. So there's a lot of interesting things in this episode. It's Beach Day.
It is
certainly.
Beach Day.
It is Beach Day. There's the secret white emails, and it's the introduction of new characters for the first time.
Yeah, we get to meet Kelly. We get to meet Tiffany.
Yeah.
We get to meet Derek. Issa and Lawrence's extended friend group.
Yep. And we meet Tasha.
Oh my gosh, of course. And we get to meet Tasha, who is a controversial character to this day. Shout out Dominique Perry. But this is a fun episode.
Yeah. And it's the introduction of the couch, which becomes such a huge thing in series.
Yeah, who knew that the couch would become a character like it did? I think we did a little bit, but this episode really establishes like the couch motif. When you think about this episode though, like what are some of your favorite memories?
My favorite memory on film is the group hang at the party, because one is the first time you get to sort of see the world expand. And it was the first time that we got to have sort of sidebar conversations that are not like plot related. They're just like ended up revealing something about Jared in college, but it didn't start out that way. So I just like seeing the world expand and the group hang, just fun conversations.
Yeah, I think I really appreciate it. This is like one of my most quoted episodes. I still say lines.
What's one of the most favorite?
For no
quoted?
reason, sometimes I say, boy, you better not eat my soup. Or I'll say, Derek, like, it could be that. I'll just say things in the way that he says them.
Yeah.
But they're just little, like, nuance.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call bell hooks on you. Like, that was a famous Natasha improvised line. Bitch, I'm going to call bell hooks on you is iconic.
I let him be a man, and he lets me be a woman.
Bitch, I'm going to call bell hooks on you.
Call it.
So, yeah, it's just, it was such a... It was so fun to make the episode. We were all over the city shooting, and we got to shoot on iconic locations like the 6 Feet Under house. A lot of people don't know is where we shot the alpha scene where we do meet the additional characters. And it was just, I feel like this is one of our first night shoots too. It was a lot going on.
It was the first time I think we also had different storylines.
Yeah.
Because a lot in the first two is sort of Issa and Molly sort of hanging and obviously establishing their relationships. But it was the first time that we get to kind of have Jay kind of carry his own little sort of story going in with Tasha. That's some of my favorite lines is just Tasha. It's the first time you also see Lawrence's character have a little bit of like a smile to his life right now because everything's been obviously so hard, but where she's like looking like Obama.
Yeah, coming over here looking like Obama.
And no kids? And you got a little bit of savings? That's what I do say that sometimes when I'm like, I got a little bit of savings.
Yeah, this was like in addition to being a fun episode to shoot, so much of it came from the room. I distinctly remember like working on this for a really long time, trying to figure out what the voice of the show was, and feeling satisfied in the end that we got it together. Secret White Meetings is also something I reference without even knowing I'm referencing the show, because that's something we talked about just on our own journey in making this show and in the writers, and that was happening actively, and just feeling like you're always under threat and a watchful eye. And so that's something that I've seen like stay in the lexicon, like culturally, where people talk about secret white meetings, and we all know what that means. We all know the sinisterness
of the secret white emails. Yeah.
Another thing we have special this episode, we have our first guest, who is going to give us some amazing insight into episode 3. So stay tuned. To help us break down episode 3, we are bringing none other than award-winning, visionaire, stylista. Is that what you say? Do you say stylista? Fashionista. Someone I look up to.
Do we?
Well, I do.
All right.
Melina Matsoukas. Hey, girl.
The auteur.
You're our first guest on this show. And you're like,
of course.
As it should be. You wouldn't have a show without me, so yeah.
That is absolutely
poetic, like you just said.
Yeah.
I began it, I ended it.
Our first episode that we, when we premiered the show, we talked about kind of the journey of finding a director and being excited to finally get you.
Oh, you talked about me without me being here.
Yeah, we did. We always do that.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Well, you were on the list early. Like, we had you on the list, maybe like 8th. It was...
All right, you know what? Oh yeah, in real life.
In real
In
life.
That is true.
In real life.
I had to
people-
win the job.
Well, yeah, because we had a
that was
terrible
great.
Zoom meeting
Yeah.
with you because
It
you
was bad.
You showed up like, "Hey y'all, what's up? What's up, niggas?" It was like that was basically the meeting.
No, I will say that it was misrepresented to me what the conversation was supposed to be, and it was like a vibe check.
Okay.
And I feel like I was
And what was the vibe you was given on that Zoom?
Yeah. You didn't want the
Listen.
job. Was the vibe you were given?
probably yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was on the East Coast. It was a Zoom at
And it was
the
like-
beginning of
Skype.
Zoom.
It was
it? Yeah,
Skype.
like it was
Skype.
Skype.
It wasn't even. It wasn't
Yeah,
even
and I
that.
think the internet. I was at my mother's house. Like I was visiting them, and it was going in and out. And honestly, at the time, I wasn't like heavy TV person.
Not at all. I remember distinctly that
Yeah.
you
Which is so
had
weird.
said
Now,
no
like,
to a bunch of
yeah,
TV
TV,
pilots,
Yeah,
and
because that was like when it was transitioning, right? From like film was looking like a more elevated kind of medium. TV was kind of looked down upon, which is kind of the story of my life. But like a Black woman navigating through a very white world that doesn't really understand who she is. I love the female relationships that you guys had established and how important that was for life, which I have a lot of.
I remember you saying even in the meeting when you came back, correct? Like you had
Prepared.
imagery. You were like, Molly feels like an AKA to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, because that wasn't written in the
it was
pilot.
not-
I was
it's not
like,
in the
she is
pilot.
based off of
Yeah.
my friend who's an AKA. This is
yeah,
crazy.
and I remember
Like,
the
you
white
see
people
it.
in the room being like,
Like,
"What's
what
an
are you
AKA?"
talking about?
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
What's she also known as?
But it was awesome because it was like the first time I was I started the first meeting was horrible. I was like, let me come back. Cause also I'm a director. So like I speak more visually, right?
Yeah.
Like, let me prepare something for you. I came back
Also-
with my deck.
Also, what you didn't know, right, behind the scenes, because at first they were like bigger, like just name directors, just like anything, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, no, we really want to meet with her. So we were like, really like, girl, come, like
Yeah.
we
And
really
then I
need
didn't
you to
come
come.
correct.
And
I
then-
didn't
and
know
we was
that.
like,
Yeah.
it was like, see,
Yeah, this is what you're doing. This is why we don't give Black
this
people
is
a
why
chance.
this is why we don't give Negroes a chance.
It's true. And then my agent, your friend, who is also your friend, came back and was like, make sure she's prepared. And I did. I watched every comedy pilot that was out at the time, or that I liked.
Sure.
And I put together a deck, which people weren't really doing at the time, but I was so used to doing in my other worlds of music videos and commercials. And I came back, and then we had a great conversation
Yeah.
in person. I'm much better in the room.
Oh, that's right. It was in the room.
It was.
It was in a room, and I had my deck,
Yep.
and we went through it.
Yep.
And I had the pictures of the AKAs, of
Yeah.
the different parts of South LA I wanted to shoot, and how I saw it, and what scenes stood out to me. I remember. I still look at that deck and still talk about it.
I remember when I saw the deck, and I was blown away. I was like, and it was the beginning of seeing like how we would call these insecure shots, which are like our
Yeah.
framing, where it's like a lot of negative space to one
Yes.
thing, or things that make you feel a little like uncomfortable in a frame.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing those images, being like, yo, this is. I remember feeling like, oh, this is going to be like a film in television.
Yeah.
And I was like, if it looks anything close to this is going to be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember like coming up with a different I studied directing at NYU, and then I studied cinematography, which is all about visual storytelling. So it was really fun to like figure out how the characters visually would have their own language on screen.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, Issa's a mess and she's chaotic, so we'll shoot everything handheld. I mean, we kind of went away from that later. But Molly's like very like composed and has it together, so everything will be on sticks or on a dolly, and like just coming up with the different ways I would shoot each character that also like spoke to who they were and those relationships.
When you obviously shot the pilot that had its own visual language, then for people who don't know, like 9 months, maybe 6 to 9 months going in between like shooting a pilot and then going a series.
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
time had passed between you shooting the pilot and then coming back to shoot episode 3, but you were part of obviously the entire season creatively.
Yeah, I was
but like
come to the room.
What did you know you?
Yeah, you
wanted
came in the
to
room
change?
for like a day.
Oh, I know. You came here
Like,
like,
I don't
oh,
like
that's
this.
boring.
I'm not a writer.
Yeah, y'all got. Y'all
popped in
talking
and
a lot. Okay.
Y'all got this.
I always say like TV's like a marathon. Like my other worlds are like a sprint. And so like you really have to pace yourself in terms of like your approach and how much you're giving. Although the first year it was like I was working 7 days a week and being abused. So I'm calling my union.
Who abused you?
Yeah, who's
I abused myself. Well, I think, we were trying to do something very untraditional where in Hollywood, they're like, you use these people, they're going to give you locations that are like in places we didn't want to shoot.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to be in Black areas in South LA, and that's not like in a location file.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if everybody understood that at the time or was willing to take the extra step to go and find those places. So literally, we shoot all week, and on the weekends, me and Denise, one of our producers, would get in a car and we would go around. And I'm like, I like that building. Let's go knock on their door and see if we can shoot there. And we did that on the weekends.
I think that just made all of us, though, have that energy, right? Which is like, nothing's going to be given. We're going to have to just go for it. And we would call ourselves Three the Hard Way for people who don't know. And it really was because we had to be galvanized in what we were doing and always be on the same agenda.
Yeah.
And like really just be a team about that.
Right. And I think that's what I like, that we were already on different levels. Like, this was your first TV project. This was your first time show running. All of us had our first time doing things, and we knew we can't fuck up not once.
Absolutely.
And so that was like the energy we brought to
Be beyond prepared.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you know this. We did used to call you Cookie Lion.
He used to call you Cookie because I didn't.
Oh yeah, I remember because I had the coat. I used to wear my coat on my shoulders. She'd wear the coat on the shoulders. I think the same shoes.
I was like, I remember
my little kitten heel.
Yeah. And a jean jacket around the thing like Cookie Lion.
My double jean look.
Yeah.
Yes.
The double jean look.
I wore this today to pay honor.
There you go. You're missing the jean
my bad.
jacket
It's hot.
over, but
we in a heat wave. Prentice, who's our sponsor this week?
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Now, if you've been tuned into Block Party since we launched, you know I'm no stranger to talking about mental health. And I know that sounds like something you scroll past, but hear me out. A lot of us, especially a lot of men, are walking around carrying a lot on our shoulders and saying, oh yeah, I'm fine. Things we're overthinking at 2 a.m. Decisions we keep second guessing. All the stuff we filed away under, I'll deal with that eventually. And eventually we decide to just keep going and we never really deal with the stuff truly bothering us. I've been around enough people who think that handling everything alone is just what you do. That talking about what's actually going on is somehow a weakness. Somehow we are even praised and rewarded for being strong and silent. And I get it. I understand where that comes from. But I also know that nobody has all the answers by themselves. Not the most put together in the room, not you, not even me. I know firsthand that having someone in your corner who can actually listen without an agenda, that's not a weakness. That's just smart. That's where BetterHelp comes in. It's the world's largest online therapy platform, over 30,000 licensed therapists, more than 6 million people served, and a 4.9 out of 5 average rating from over 1.7 million real client reviews. That's not a company saying it works. That's millions of people saying it worked for them. BetterHelp has been doing this for 12 years. Trust me, they know what they're doing. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or even insecure about how to move forward, just know that it's more common than we let on. And now is a good time as Zenny to check in with yourself and really ask, do I have someone in my corner? You deserve that. We all do. You don't have to be on this journey alone. Find support and have someone with you in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/insecure. That's betterhelp.com/insecure.
Music was incredibly important to you, incredibly important to me.
Yeah.
You brought Solange on as a music supervisor for the first season. And that's right, Raphael was you too.
Raphael
who did our incredible score. Can you talk about like even music selections in this episode? What was it a matter of like you coming from the music video world? Like how do you use music to tell the story?
Yeah, I'm still very sensitive to that because I come from a place where people wouldn't give me the opportunity because I came from music. So I never wanted music to be a crutch, right? And so like I honestly like to edit things dry with no music. And so I never wanted music to be a crutch. So I actually like to, which I still do, I think like scenes should be able to hold on their own. Mm-hmm. You should understand the character intention and all that stuff without I have to feel like music can be a crutch.
For sure.
You know, for sure.
But I've even watching this episode, there were more music video elements, like the opening scene when they're kind of in stop motion in the bed, and of course the infamous couch montage. Well,
you need music to carry you through some of that.
Yeah, and that was, but like even the way that you shot that was what felt like very music driven, and finding the right songs for those were like essential.
I mean, I love music, and I loved working on Insecure because I feel like I was always at the forefront of what was like the new kind of voices, and that was always like fun for us, I think, to discover new artists at the time and work with them.
What made you pick Solange? I'm curious about, I mean, I know you guys have a relationship, but I'm just curious, like what made you go like, oh, this would be a good fit?
Well, she's one of my best friends, and she I don't know if she at the time was DJing or she had DJed, but like even in our hanging out, she like curates the vibe all the time and picks like the most amazing pieces that felt right, that feel right for a scene or whatever it is, like and she's really good at like knowing who the audience is and playing into that, but also like pushing it, and not doing what's expected and giving you some unexpected kind of like voices. And so I knew she'd be great at this. I think it was her first time maybe supervising, because it was just kind of a continuation of our real lives. So I brought her onto that. And the taste level is just like immaculate.
Truly.
Yeah. And she knows like so many artists that
I didn't know that she had a connection to like Kalela. I didn't know that so many like some photos.
Yeah, I think like Kalela was signed to
hers. And so like that was such a great opportunity. And obviously those artists have blown up since, but they were staples.
And she introduced me to Raphael because he had produced for her. So I met him through her when she was recording her album. And then I knew he'd be a great composer. And had he composed before for film and TV?
He was starting. Sure. I think he might have been starting or done one or two things.
Maybe like one thing right before, I want to say.
Well, now he's like,
now
everywhere. Everybody got him.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Right?
Yeah, we did that.
But
you're welcome, sinners.
You're welcome, Ryan Coogler. But so that was like, an extraordinary kind of like addition to the musical language of our piece.
I feel like that was a lot of our show is like, obviously there's us kind of coming up in the beginning too, but even like Solange, I remember her talking about that album that dropped, right? Where you're like, oh, she's like, I'm working on this album, and then that album becomes
A Seat at the Table.
Yeah, Seat at the Table, with like Cranes in the Sky, all those songs. It's like, oh, you're kind of hearing about things, and then it's like, oh shit, that's a thing, right? So.
Yeah, it's so funny. She did Cranes in the Sky, and I remember being in Molly's apartment in the skyscraper. And all in downtown LA was just cranes.
Yeah, that's so
And I remember taking them out in post. I'm like, there's too many fucking cranes. I just want to see skyscrapers. And then she had that song, and I was like, yeah, I feel you.
In this episode, obviously, one of the biggest things in Issa's storyline is she's still sort of struggling, obviously, and she's trying to really prove herself at her job, and she comes up with this idea for Beach Day. And obviously, there's all these secret white emails going around, and, she's going to have these kids slap boxing with seals, as she says in the episode.
I remember that.
I'm curious, how was it directed? It was the first time, I think, besides the pilot, that we kind of had all the kids on the bus and at the beach. So how was it? Had you directed kid actors? What was it like directing the kids?
I remember being stuck on that bus on the 10 with like how many kids? 20 kids? And the editor was like, y'all, you did that.
They were really well behaved, though. They were well behaved.
They were, but it was crazy.
It was.
And it's like bouncing all around. It felt like also like dangerous. I'm like, I don't know if this is legal.
The kids are doing fine.
They were fine. They were well taken care of.
Did you have a favorite kid?
I love Denise. That's my girl.
That was a good name.
Denise was great. She lived up to the name. Phenomenal actress, and
I think it was so real. Like, I love the scene because it was like, yes, how many kids, and I think of that when we even think about making the show. It's like, how many kids and people don't have access to Hollywood and they live right here, and there's all these job opportunities and things that they could be doing, and they're cut off from it. And the same thing with the beach, like. These kids live right here in South LA, and I don't know how many times they get to go, and that's what this. I mean, we really did our thing,
But that was an organic thing that we talked about. Obviously,
happening.
Like Molly says, I never even went to the beach. It sort of kicks off Issa's thing. But that actually came up in the room, I think. Some people saying like, oh, we were just saying how people like live. Yeah,
that's real.
Yeah.
That's real. You live right there.
You live in LA. I always forget that there's a beach here because one, I'll never go, period.
Right.
It's not
well, unless
the
you
best
live on the beach, which now I live closer. But even like I used to live like 5 blocks and I would go every day, and now I live like a mile, and I'm like, I never get there.
Yeah.
And it's just like you forget that that's there, but it's such a great resource.
Molly, one of the third-year associates.
Oh, look at you. I like seeing us in high places, girl.
Oh, well, thank you so much. But listen, I know everything is super new right now, so if you ever need anything, I can help.
Oh, thanks, Molly.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And
Rashida, but you can call me Dada Girl.
One of the storylines featured the incredible Gail Bean, who played Rashida, aka Dada, who was the new Black intern at Molly's law firm. And, she didn't quite know how to switch it up. And that was like one of our first debates.
That was, yeah.
If you need to switch it up?
Yeah, because some
Code
people were
switching in the
on
room,
like people on Molly's side where it's like, girl, you did need to calm down and like learn how to switch it up in the law firm. You were a little too loud. And other people were like, Dada was being herself and doing well.
Right.
And then there was confusion about whether or not she got fired. She
Yes.
definitely got fired.
She definitely got let go.
But that was
Because
Gail
she was doing
Beans,
too much.
because she was a little too, boy, you better not eat my
black.
soup.
You better not eat my soup.
But-
Girl was fought.
Shout out to Gail B,
Well,
who
good thing
absolutely
we don't have to do something where you need to
killed that
code
role.
switch. Because
Yeah, no, you would not be capable. Well, I don't
okay,
think
you know what? First off, I can code switch.
What's your
I
code
just
switching
choose not
voice?
to be that.
Do your code switching voice.
Yeah,
I used to do that all the time. 'cause
Do
I
it.
come
But
from
yeah, I'm
producing.
curious what is
Do
a
it.
Melina
What is it?
Hi,
voice?
you've met Melina.
Literally the
Matsoukas.
same
This is-
voice.
yeah. I can't do it now. It's been so many years. I don't have to.
I love
free.
it.
She's like,
You don't
I'm
have
free.
to be
I don't have to do
yourself.
that.
I'm
do
free.
that.
I'm not free. None of us are free. Let's be real.
Well,
But Gail Bean played Rashida. She was incredible. She credits this as like her first, I want to say TV role, and now she's of course
yeah.
doing Snowfall, the Snowfall spinoff. Can you talk about what you felt like you got right with this episode and this theme?
I mean, again, I like that we were teaching lessons and like, I mean, maybe exposing too much about our culture, but the idea that we do have to code switch, and that has been a part of my life in the past, not anymore, as we've just established. I don't need to do that anymore. But so many of us have to walk through different environments and different spaces and, you know, bring down a part of ourselves in order to fit in. And is that the right thing to do? And I just loved like that whole debate and how dialed up or down we could be in those scenes, I think was really interesting. And then also just like showing that we're not a fucking monolithic like group of people,
Yeah.
right? And I love that about us, and showing how different Molly was from Gail was like really, really special to be able to do that and put that on.
I think what's great about that scene too, and I think about it, is like that it's like all these private conversations we always have to have, right?
Yeah.
In plain sight, right?
Mhm.
So like what was happening in that scene, if you were a white partner walking through the room, you're probably like, oh, they're in there.
Yeah,
talking about-
bonding.
Yeah, bonding or whatever, and the whole time a whole other conversation's
Yeah,
happening, right? And I
yeah.
just think like, oh, that is how we kind of have to move in the world. So it's not
Mhm.
just code switch with them. It's like how we have to, how we're switching up with each other, switching up with them. There's just always multiple conversations. that
Yeah,
happen.
and those secret white meetings, and those are our secret black meetings.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which we
Yeah.
had so many times
We
in the
had
making of this show.
So many secret black
It's like,
meetings.
so many.
But even rewatching it, I cringed a little bit, and obviously so much time has changed. And
Why? Because
these
you agreed that she
conversations-
needed to code switch.
no, like
You were on the wrong
watching
side of history.
I wasn't on the wrong.
Ah,
Yeah, I
okay.
guess kind of, because I understood why Molly was talking to her, but rewatching it, obviously with respectability politics, Molly was trying to look out for her.
She
She
was.
ended up
She
being
was.
right. She was like, these white people are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But I think if it were me and I were approached that way, I'd be like, and this is also me more seasoned and
Mhm.
more sure of myself and feeling like I don't have to code switch. I would be like, girl, fuck you. I know what I'm doing. I got here for a reason, and I
Right.
got here from being me. So you don't know me. You don't
Right.
know what I bring to the table, and I'm doing. Everybody likes me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
she
what I-
was kind of doing too much. I don't think it's the code switching. I think it's like professionalism. Those are two different.
She was loud.
Those
in
are
the-
two different.
in the open area of
Yeah.
the thing.
Exactly.
But what I do think, obviously, we couldn't do this for time in the show, but there's also like a thing where I don't think she and Molly had a relationship yet.
Yeah.
Right. And so like if they had maybe had a relationship, then I think you could like work
Yeah.
that into a conversation
Yeah.
versus like I just met you. And obviously for sake of time, we don't have that in the show. But I do feel like, oh, had there maybe been like more of a connection in real life, then maybe you could have, maybe that is received.
you
But
could
there
be
are
like, be
some
a
black people that
professional.
don't need to need to
No,
know
you're
you,
right.
and they will still be like, hey,
I think
baby.
it also depends on your industry, though. It's like I also don't want my lawyer like acting
That's
like we on the
true.
street.
Yeah.
Like
Facts.
you get into those white people's thing and tell them about themselves and read them in their language. Thank you.
Yeah. Those defense lawyers that be like dancing with their clients, like,
Yeah,
like,
no. Don't want
please.
that.
Episode 3 is kind of a big deal in that it's the first time we sort of open up the world of our characters, right?
Okay.
And it's certainly the first time that we start to meet, we've met Jared before, obviously, from the pilot, but we meet Kelly, we meet Tiffany, and we meet Derek. How much fun was it to shoot with like that cast for the first
Oh,
time?
man.
I think that's the first. I've not done really TV before and a comedy, and to see how much was being improvised was really fun. And just like keeping the camera running in between things, and like Derek with his little snide remarks, and like I would love those of him and Natasha, Kelly, like their takes were always my favorite because I'm like, what are they gonna say now? And in the edit room, it'd be like, what do we keep?
Yeah, which one do we choose?
We can't like keep going.
An
Now the scene
embarrassment
is
of
like 10
riches.
minutes because we want to use this and this and this that they improvise. And it's always like the thing that they say under their breath. That's like the best.
that was the best. Like Wade, it also helped define that character more because a lot of that stuff was like, who is Derek? Because it was kind of like trying to figure out like Kelly we knew, right? And we knew sort of Tiffany was sort of a more bougie version of that, right? But it was Derek. It was like, what's a personality that's gonna feed off that? And when he was just throwing like shady,
It was
like that's
But
the
remember
voice.
they auditioned. Remember when we
Because it was like you. You're like, I love that. That's
I
me.
love
Yeah.
the shade.
But remember, we had to like switch. We had a big group chemistry audition.
That's right.
Remember?
That's
we had
right.
Natasha was obviously
All of
obviously
that?
already a writer on the show.
Yeah, we had three
But
other.
we had other Tiffany's. We were going throughout the room.
I remember
and then
that.
Derek
With the women. But I don't remember that with the men.
Oh, it was just the girls.
It was just the girls.
me and Natasha.
It was
and
you and
You're right.
Was that fun doing the groups? Because it's also the first big group scene that we sort of have. So there's a lot of coverage. It's I mean, that's like it's also the first time we also have like I would say like just a life conversation because the girls are talking about dating in LA and going to college and all those sort of conversations, going to college versus not going to college. So there's a lot of just like I felt like sort of just like the way you just hang and talk to people.
Yeah.
That was the first time that kind of happened in our show.
Those are my favorite, but they're also the hardest.
Yeah,
Like
they
because
take
there's so many
forever.
people and they take so long and you want to have coverage and opportunity to like cut to whatever and because you also don't know what to expect because there is so much improvisation. And then to like how do you make that artful and it's not just like there's a camera in front of your face and like how do I keep the camera moving? How am I still like thinking about character and relationships? Like a bunch of stuff that y'all don't care about either. But
who's abusing who? I feel like
I know.
I don't know. What
I'm just saying all this stuff that goes into my
Revisionist
thinking and my work
history.
that I don't get appreciated for. But
we appreciate you, girl.
no, those scenes they're great. And it was great to see the chemistry between y'all and like, to really understand who these characters, because I've just seen them on a page with your wonderful writing. Guys,
Dang,
did a
ooh, a
great job.
compliment.
Hey, I don't know how
We
I feel
love
about
that.
that.
Oh my God. The compliments are like, I remember the first, you don't remember that. Maybe you do. The first time I
you
gave
did something
notes,
funny? Okay.
on like a script, and they're like, "Oh, we'll send it to Melina because like we have to. She's a producing director." And being from New York, I'm very straight, and like,
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
everything was just like a criticism.
Yes.
And this is corny. We need to change that. That's whack. Da-da-da-da-da. This tells nothing about the character. I don't know why we have this. And Prentice was like, could you start with what you like and then maybe like soften the blow on like, and I was like, well, that's given. I'm here, right? But I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that was learning for me,
I
like
love
how
that.
to work with
I
writers.
I forgot she used to do that.
And I still do that, by the way. When I work with them, I'm like, obviously it's amazing.
Yeah.
You're so great. Let me like, stroke your ego and your back a little.
Yes.
I hired you for a reason, but everything needs to change.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, I had just seen the page, and so like to see like somebody personify and to see what the actors like, they all brought something different.
Yeah.
And that was really special, So I'm like, and then I get to understand them more, like, oh, who they're gonna be, and set up for that. Now I'm ready, right? Because I didn't know.
Right.
So now with the camera and like with how I'm prepping for whatever next scenes or next episodes, now I know what they bring. Like now I know with Natasha, like keep the camera rolling, like for whatever time afterward, because she's gonna give you something that's not scripted. Like
It's also the first time that we talk about like having divergent storylines, right? Because in the pilot, the first two, Issa and Molly are kind of together a lot.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that we get to see sort of, they're kind of barely together in this episode physically in the same space, right? And it's also the first time that we meet another character, Tasha.
Love.
Mia Lawrence's storyline.
Yeah.
Love.
You love Tasha's character.
I
You
do.
I
do love Tasha.
Immediately
She was
related
great.
to her.
Shout out to Dominique.
Shout out to Dominique.
She was also the first Tasha that auditioned.
Yeah,
Was
she had
she?
us cracking up in the room.
She has
was the
cracked
first
up.
one.
She literally was the first one to walk
She
through.
Oh
was
my gosh, she
hilarious.
set the bar. We could not stop laughing. I
She
remember
was
even the
funny.
next person came in and I was still laughing at Dominique's delivery.
Looking like Obama.
Looking like Obama, and I made me some brown
Brown
rice.
That
some
brown
kale, like
And you ain't
that.
got no kids.
You a catch. And he was eating it up.
Yes.
Hey, Tasha.
Look at you, coming up in here looking like Obama.
I had a job interview.
Oh, okay, I see you. Then let me go ahead and cash your last unemployment check.
Nah, I didn't get the job.
Well, then they stupid. Okay, you got a lot going for you.
I don't know about all that.
I do. You a good black man. You went to college. And I see you still got some savings.
The internet did not love Tasha as much. Did they call her like Chase Ho or Bank Ho?
A pick-me hoe? Oh, yeah, Bank,
It was
Bank
actually
something.
It was Bank something.
Chase Ho, whatever. But that's just a testament to how well she played.
She was
her
great.
role.
She was great.
But it was fun to see, like, did you have any sort of thoughts in terms of, as you're thinking about even how you were going to shoot Lawrence or sort of Lawrence's thing? Obviously, you talked about Issa and Molly of that. Did you have an approach to how you were going to treat the Lawrence stuff?
It was just a real challenge to make him look a mess, right? It's like Jay Ellis, he's, you know, people like him.
He
And
helps.
it's like, you gotta look a mess. Like, you haven't had it together. Your hair is not done. Like, you haven't had a
Did you
lineup.
tell him to do that? Or
Absolutely.
did he?
Yeah,
Oh,
she
okay.
did.
Yeah, don't cut your hair.
Yeah. He gave it a look. I didn't know. I thought he did it as an actor, but I didn't know that you like coached him to do that.
No.
No.
He said
Which
nah,
actually,
that's
now
it.
that I think about it, because in my film, I had to do that with Daniel. For a black man, it's really hard not to get a lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't have a beard when he auditioned.
No,
either. It
and I was like,
it
don't
was like,
shave,
I remember you telling him, don't shave,
like all of that. Yeah, because we had to make him
Yep.
kind of look like a bum,
Yep.
which was a real challenge. But we did it.
Mm-hmm. And then the glow up was even better once we.
It was great. Now you could cut your hair, and I feel like he was like, thank God.
Insecure, it's been 10 years since the first season
All right,
aired.
let's not age me.
I'm aging all of us, baby. 10 years since the first season aired, and obviously a lot of things have changed. There was a lot of like, black women do that. And I felt like not obligated, but there was like, we were a black show. It felt like we had to define who we were and like establish that we were a black show for some reason, even though it's so clear. That's like my pet peeve and stuff now when they generalize and they say black people got to do the black people. And like, I felt a lot of that for this episode.
Yeah.
And for me, if we could have just been more like subtle and just spoken like we always do. Yes, absolutely.
Nothing in TV, and I'm not trying to like just prop us up. What I am saying is like, TV at that time was like, it's like, you got to remember, it's like The Office, it's Parks and Rec. It's
that's
TV,
what I think people
even
wanted us to be.
Even on HBO, where it's like Silicon Valley and Curve. So even
They
nothing
wanted us
on
to
their
be that.
platform.
Well, Girls existed, but it was
but I
like,
still feel like, but I'm saying like, I think that like, even on their network, and I would say they were a progressive network for sure in terms of edgy, in terms of the types of shows they were making versus a show on NBC or ABC at the time, right? That's being very much on a stage, brightly lit. It's like we were doing something that, and for us, and talking about content, and talking about things that were just, I mean, really way over there. And what you kind of didn't know at the same time is like, it's kind of very Harlem Renaissance-y a little bit, because you're also seeing like, we didn't know what Atlanta was doing.
Yeah, we didn't know what Atlanta was
doing. And so that'd be like,
Luke Cage, Queen Sugar.
100%. And we came on a month after Atlanta, and it's like, oh, we were both feeling and needing that same kind of energy happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I do think there's a bridge that we were like, oh, no, guys, the party's over here. And we were trying to do things that we were still finding a language for in lots of ways too. So I get that for sure, but I'm just saying, like, having come up in like traditional TV, nothing on air. Now it's like no big deal. It's like, of course that's how it's supposed to look, right? But then it was like, it's all supposed to be poppy and glossy and have a sheen and have a this. And so it wasn't new for all of us, you know.
And I do like even you saying that, even though like you bullshitting, but there like the appeal of having you honestly as a director is like, we were stuck in our writer's room bubble. And even for me, like people would ask like, why don't you want to direct? And I think about you because I'm like, it's so great to have someone elevate your vision in so many ways. Like, and they're so.
That's what I say all the time. Like, I'm not a writer. That's why I wasn't in the writer's room. And that's why I popped in. I'm like, you do what you do well and be a master of your craft. And like, I'll do what I do well. And like, we come together and collaborate. But I love that about filmmaking in general. It's such a collaborative process.
So obviously we were trying to do a lot of new things in front of the camera, but I think people don't always think about the things we were trying to change behind the camera. Can you speak to sort of like why it was important to have women and other people of color, you know, in those roles as well?
Really wasn't. I was just trying to employ white men the whole way through, but no. You know, because I mean, honestly, that's my career effort, and I think yours is, right, to give people opportunities that haven't been given. And not just because they're a certain color or a certain, I'm like race or gender, that's the word I'm looking for. But because they're the best to do it, you know? And I also think we were looking for people who think out of the box, right? And who aren't just giving us the expected thing that they're giving everybody else. And that's usually people that come from the places that we're trying to shoot. And I remember talking about like employing people who in the areas that we are shooting in and giving back to the community and like and that's why I think episode 3 is great, right? Because it's talking about like incorporating, giving resources to these people who are right here and are overlooked. And I feel like we did that with the show as much as we could. And we did that from the beginning, you know? And until we could have the power to do so, like that was a lot of the fight, unfortunately. It was like, how do we find these people, you know, even though they're few and far between right now, and also offer them the opportunity to grow.
And it was a double-edged sword, right? Because you'd get resumes, obviously, that have either mostly Black shows or not a lot of things, and then you have to. Then they go, well, they don't have a lot of. It's like that catch-22, well, they can't get the thing. And I remember us always saying, like, they don't need to come on our show to get their next job. They can be on the Silicon Valleys or the Veeps or whatever, like those shows to get those jobs. But you know, our show can help push other doors for other people in a different way.
Which is also whack, because I'm like, why is that only on us? You know, I'm like, that should be on everybody.
Seen that pisses me off now. Like there was such a concentrated effort, I think, during our time because there were more of us, and now, you know, post George Floyd, all these other things, people, it's just back to white and unapologetically so.
They're like, oh, we were playing. We don't really
y'all good. It's hard out here.
Over.
Figure it out.
We don't care.
But yeah, it is always on us to like have to push and be aggressive about who we hire. And I mean, it's a burden we'll all happily take on. I know that.
Yeah, and we do it proudly, but yeah.
As the weather starts to heat up and you're getting back outside and you're hanging out with friends, and even in this episode at Beach Day, Issa could have definitely used some Gatorade lower sugar. Hydrates better than water, so if you're out there getting parched, stop by your favorite store, pick some up.
Our social team went through a bunch of old tweets and just comments and posts about the series, and there was so much love, obviously, towards you. Obviously,
they love
towards
me.
you and your visual style. And like, yeah, you are the blueprint. I've seen that just in meetings that I've had with people where they have complimented what the series did for them, and they have confessed to like biting the style of Insecure and the Insecure frame that you coined and established. But for you, as you look back, what's the highest compliment you've received about your work on the show?
Well, before the compliment, I just remember us sitting there every Sunday, and like watching all the tweets in real time, and that was so rewarding. I don't know if I've had an experience like that since, you know, where everybody's watching in real time and commenting and like, I don't remember that app we used to watch, but like
TweetDeck.
Yo, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And then like you guys were responding like in real time to what was happening on screen. So that was just phenomenal to see people's real time reaction. It was like being in the audience of a film that you made, right?
You don't get.
You don't get.
For TV at least. For film, you can like
you
show
can
up in a theater
in your audience and like put on your hood and be like, oh, they love it. Or they hate it. Oh my God, let me sneak out of here before they kill me. But yeah, so that was really phenomenal. In terms of like which tweets stand out, like it is a compliment when it's not even, I mean, other people great. I'm loving that. But I don't think we realized what we were creating at the time.
No way.
And maybe because it was such a fight all my life.
So I don't even know if this made it into the script. It certainly happened in the writer's room. We were talking about Beach Day. And one of the things that was in this episode was we had two things that never made it. One was little Issa.
Oh my God.
So I don't know if you know.
Little
Issa was going to be one of the kids at the school who was going to reflect Issa back to her and her shortcomings.
Did not make it into
it was
HBO
a great,
said no.
No, it was not like a little kid show or whatever. And then, so we killed little Issa. We were gonna have one of the kids be allergic to the sun. And so,
an albino boy who was
the albino black kid that couldn't go. So he was gonna have cones where
like
he couldn't leave.
Boy?
Yeah, kind of like it, where he was like it's like, and the sun is moving, and Frida's like, get to the shade, right to the shade.
It was so funny because like trying to find, we had the first and second
being
episode.
A horror film.
We had the first and second episodes done and approved by HBO, but finding the 3, 4, and 5 was like an overhaul.
Wait, which ones did you have to That's
3, 4, and
3, 4,
5.
and 5.
So you
Because we
had
were
1
saying-
and 2 approved when they greenlit it.
Well, one
No,
was
no. Like, but in the writers'
Just the
room,
pilot they agreed.
Yeah,
and, then
and
we
so when we
shot
got the
that.
writers room, we
Okay.
turned in 2, and she was like, they had
That's
notes,
cool.
but it
Yeah.
was like, this is good.
Yeah.
When we turned in episode 3, and then ultimately episode, because remember we had like a whole period episode. We had all those things.
Because 5
And it
was
was
going to
just
be like a
You
big,
had a
like,
period?
Yeah, like Molly,
Yeah.
Issa's
Sync up at
periods
the
had
same- synced
synced,
up.
and it was like finding what the show would be.
Yeah.
Shout out to HBO and development team for like kind of help us find it. Shout out to our writer Jadalyn North, who we had our first
Oh,
writer
yeah.
cameo this episode.
Yeah.
She is with Tasha at the bank. But
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
that's
like
something special. Did y'all talk about that already?
that we had our writer cameo
No,
for every
she is a-
episode.
Every
she is a-
episode
she
there
is
was
a
a writer
first- she has a
cameo.
There was a writer
cameo.
That was
cameo.
awesome.
That was fun to some we forced them to do.
Yeah,
Like
they
they did
did.
not
Yeah.
mostly did not want to do this, but I was like, if I'm in the show, y'all gotta be in the show too.
Fuck.
We all going down
They're
together.
like, we're not actors.
But it was great. Everybody like
was
eventually got
cool.
into it,
Yeah.
and like that was we tried to take some risks and we
Yeah.
tried to revitalize some things, but so much of like making a show is finding it and finding the style.
I think
and
we'd
the
even
humor.
talked about
I mean, how'd you do
having.
that?
I think we even talked about having. Because I think we were debating should we even have pops or flashbacks,
And I was like-
and you was like, no, we're not doing that. But there were like little things like that. Was this?
I don't know how to say it though. That was also
Yeah,
fun.
But
but
like,
that- but
how
that-
do you, what, you were scared to say that in the room?
I just it would sometimes
You're
you know
like,
you're
I
in a
respect
writer
you,
room.
yeah.
I respect you. Everybody's laughing at something,
You're
and
like,
then it was
"That's
like you are
terrible."
thinking about like, oh, that is kind of a network sensibility
you
now
need
where
me
they
to
have
come in and be
just like now
responsible,
everything is
yeah.
like mockumentary style, and
Yeah.
everybody thinks
Yeah.
that that's
Yeah,
like a
and you
thing
didn't
because
want that.
Abbott has revitalized.
And if you
it.
think, and even in the pilot, even though they're not pops or whatever, even the way you're meeting Molly is kind of like a pop. Like it's like, and my friend Molly. And the
Yeah,
voice. So
yeah.
there are elements that you go like, oh,
There was
are we?
voiceover in the
Yes.
pilot that I also didn't want to
Yeah.
do, and I had to do because
Right, to
Yeah.
get it
notes.
made.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
understood. Right.
so
the
you're like-
pilot feels different than the
Yeah,
rest
and so
of
you're
it.
like, well,
Yeah.
again, and so you only have that one episode to go off of a visual representation of the show.
Yeah.
Like you're writing
To
the rest, so
understand
you're
who
trying to
you
figure
are.
out like, okay, are we doing stuff like this, not doing stuff like that?
And how was that for you? Like, that's your first time you're going from like kind of writing solo
Oh man,
to like now you're in a room with all these people that you somewhat respect.
yeah, that I have more experience than me. Yes, I
right.
definitely.
And you're like, but it's also like based on, your experiences and ideas and
It was humbling, but I like the best thing I learned, I think, even from him is just to listen. There were so many times where I had to fight the urge to just not say, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. No,
That shit's horrible.
but like listening leads to like a better idea.
Yeah.
So much of it that first season
can.
was just me. So much of that first season was me like
Yeah.
shutting my mouth and listening. And I literally watched like a bad idea turn into a great
Right.
one.
I think
because
for me
didn't know.
too. Like I went from like kind of having more control of like the story I was not really, but in a sense to like, okay, now I'm telling your story and I have to take this
Yeah.
script and elevate it and bring something to it and develop it. And there's a bunch of voices, like,
Yeah.
in this. And who do you listen to? And what do you take? And when do you like fight something or like stick up for your own opinion? And that was definitely a learning process for me, I think. So
But I think to your end and to that point, how you said like, oh, I had to fight the urge to say something, and like this idea won't be the final one, but it'll lead to a better idea. I think you see that reflected in this episode because we talk about like a lot of times we would take the literal words that people are saying in the room and assign them to characters.
Yeah.
And so like in this episode where the character talking about like LA guys and blah, 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 that was a conversation in the room. So you kind of had to have those conversations to occur because then you go like, oh, out of that becomes a real conversation that characters will actually have in the show.
Right,
and
yeah.
so, but we didn't know that this is the first time that we sort of were seeing like a literal version of that play out that we started to incorporate, I think, throughout this series.
So what do
Yeah,
you
I
think
know.
I brought to it? Like from seeing it in the room, right, to seeing it brought to life. Like
There was always a voice, and I think throughout even when you left for the third season, it was like your approval of things would stay in my head. Like,
Yeah, she's
she
not
went
gonna
like
like
this.
this.
Yeah, she went like this, or she would think this is whack. And so like your presence loomed large over the series. And like, yeah, stylistically, aesthetically, so many
Right.
things like had to feel like they met your bar.
Mhm.
And even if you weren't there to speak it and you might have still hated it, it was still like in the back of my mind,
Right,
like it
like,
has
this
to
is who
meet
we
this.
are.
Yeah.
as a show.
I thought there are specific shots I love. Like one of the shots of like, because typically if you think about like montage, right, that could TV that could look a very expected way, right?
Right.
And do a very expected thing. And I think when I was rewatching this, there are like little things like the couch montage by itself is just like such a beautiful way to see, again, no words, just expressing an emotion, and you're getting the full story, right? Through like no dialogue, right? So there's things like that. Even how you talked about keeping the group hang fresh, of like just seeing shots that were like tracking shots and like coming off people, like just keeping a scene that could feel like people just who are not moving, stagnant, keeping that alive felt great. And then one of my favorites, it's just a shot, but it's just the crane shot over Denise on top of the pink donut of the floaty.
I love that.
And I was like, it's a beautiful shot first, because it's like an overhead shot that's craning over a character.
Introduction to that
yes, but it also tells you everything about Denise. It's like, I'm not picking up no trash.
Right.
I'm trying to be in the sun,
out.
and I'm laying on this donut. Can't nobody be in this donut.
Right.
But it did so many things.
Which
in
was
like
my
one
goal.
beautiful
It's
shot.
like, how do you have visual storytelling that's not necessarily, or just like elevating the script, right? Like, you gave me these characters. How do I tell that visually without having to depend on the script to do that? I didn't know it was gonna touch so many people and
still
be relatable to so many people. And when I look back, which I told you I just rewatched it last year, which you say is not recent, but pretty recent. Yeah, it's really relevant and great. And we touched on so many issues, I think, in our community, and we incorporated so many people, and it was fucking funny.
Yeah.
You guys kind of wrote it really well.
Well, this has been an incredible trip down memory lane.
Yes.
Melina, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you
Thanks
for your
having me,
role
guys.
in making Insecure what it is. This would not.
Thanks for starting my career.
That was such a good time catching up with Melina. I learned so much.
Yes.
One, that we are the enemy in her memoirs for Insecure.
I think she's scarred. I think you might have scarred her. Like, I was like, I didn't know she felt so much abuse. She came in with heat.
Yeah, she came in ready to fight. But I feel like we left on even ground, you know?
Positive.
We made some concessions about who was right, who was wrong.
We was right.
We was right. We know it is.
We was right. The good thing about our show is that you can send your own hot takes or your questions into @HOORAE Media on Instagram, and maybe we'll read some on the podcast.
Yes, we will. So make them good.
Yeah, no, but none like, why was the show only a half hour?
Oh yeah,
please.
We can't do that. No. And no, bring the show back, please. We
no
doing
movie.
this.
Yeah, but this is it. This is it, guys.
So I know with this episode.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even get a chance. Come on.
Why you roll your eyes?
As a man, you had some thoughts on this episode, so I'm gonna give you the floor, which is against my free will.
It's your show. So what people don't know is oftentimes, obviously, because the show is very centered around Issa and Molly, that the Lawrence stuff or the guy stuff that I would sometimes feel in the room.
Sometimes.
I mean, I'd have to say, like, as a man, I don't feel he would do this. And we'll keep exploring that in various episodes. But I definitely felt as a man, there are lots of things in this episode that I had an issue with. So, small story is my wife has a friend. I won't say his name because then he's watching. He used to say that he was married to a never happy bitch. Oh. And I used to be like, wow, what does that mean? And he was like, no matter what I do, this bitch is never happy. And I was like, damn, that's crazy.
First of all, very clear in the title, what a never happy bitch is.
It is. I just wanted more clarification on, like, because this guy can do a lot. And then as I watched this episode, I was like, these are two never happy bitches right here. I was like, in this episode, Molly is mad that Jared, no college, but full job. Issa got a man, full college, no job. Both unhappy with both of these guys. Lawrence is making full lamb. Issa comes home, takes the food over to the couch. He got a bed to sit down with her. She dirtied the couch, only for her 5 seasons later to marry this nigga.
Okay,
and only for one episode. A couple episodes later, Molly's like, Jared, what's up? You didn't want to holler at me, so what's up? So I'm just saying, there's a lot of not happy women in this episode.
You know what?
Are you okay?
As a happy bitch, always happy bitch, I'm gonna let you have that. I'm not gonna defend it. You know what? This is your as a man.
This is my corner.
This is your corner. I disagree with everything you said, but I'm gonna let you have it. First of all, because you said in like a rebuttal. Lawrence went to college, had no job. Why would Issa be happy about that? He don't have a job. Yeah, he's cooking lamb, but you don't have a job.
But again, in the
and
show,
this is an accumulation of you forgot my birthday. You are just now trying. It's been a couple weeks. Give a bitch time to get happy.
Wait, I'm sorry. In the show, we certainly established that Lawrence was holding it down beforehand, was working.
No. First of all, we in season 1, baby. You talking about the rewrites to help Lawrence. That's
okay.
I only know what I know.
But
It's episode 3.
Okay, but what we do know is he went to Georgetown. He's a smart brother. He just hit a rough patch. Most men,
he hit a rough patch for like 2 to 3 years, and their relationship suffered. So you need time to get there. It's not like, baby, I made you lamb, so we good now, right?
But he's clearly, again, I'm not saying that Lawrence didn't take L's. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that these two women have. It's not like Issa's life is full together.
But she is also trying. He don't know.
Hold on. Just the 2 episodes before she's about to go out and cheat. The next episode, her boss calls her out and goes, when you first got here, you was up. Now you phoning it in. Because you did go into the meeting and go, oh, the arts. And you go, like, what arts? And you're like, Joanne called you to the office, and you're like, hey, I'm going to do better. But then you don't get a saying grace.
You know who she can't talk to about that? Her man, because he don't have a job. He can't relate.
I'm just saying.
Like, she has to deal with all this shit by herself. All she got, that's it.
Wow.
Like, she can't go home and talk about it because he's like, he's trying to find a job. He's unemployed. And he's just now looking and like revitalized again because she lit a fire under his ass. So like, give me time to get happy. Give me time to show.
I agree. I'm just saying that it's a very interesting thing to me that they both have a similar side of the coin and it's not enough.
Anyway, this has been As a Man. It will never happen again.
Next week, As a Man. It's coming back, guys. Hotter than ever. So thank you guys for tuning in. We finna be back here next week on the same bullshit.
Please follow us on YouTube for more episodes. Follow HOORAE Media on all platforms. And we will see y'all next week.